I even joined another program, which was crazy expensive because I was so desperate. And then I think within a day or two, I was like, God, this is absolutely insane. Oh, no, I think actually I had an onboarding call with them, and this guy was in a pool somewhere with a tank top.
No.
And there was people going behind him. And I was like, what is this person? I just paid £4,000 to join. So I canceled that. And then I was like, I need to keep looking.
Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast, the show for clinic owners who want real, honest advice and tried and tested ways of doing things. I'm Katie Bell, and this is the new era of bigger insights and bolder conversations to help you grow a clinic and a life you love. Let's dive in.
Good morning, Philippa. Good morning, Bruno.
Morning.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, great to be here.
So this is officially our Coaches Corner episode, where once a quarter we get some of the coaching team together and we just get to have a good old chat live on the podcast to inspire our listeners, to motivate our listeners, and for us to really talk from a place of working with clinic owners day in, day out, week in, week out, and what we're hearing, the patterns that we're seeing, what's going on in the industry, the things that we're helping people with, the transformations that we're seeing. But I've got the pleasure, Bruno, of you having been a client in Thrive and still a client. You're on our Ascend program now, which is our top level program. But you've been through the Elevate program, haven't you? And you've been with us for a number of years now. Mm-hmm. And then recently in the last year, you've also moved into one of our coaching positions. So you get to work with our foundation members and help support them from a wonderful place of knowing, being. You've walked the walk, you've talked the talk, and are still doing that and provide so much value to our clients. So, Bruno, first of all, if you're happy, me and Philippa are going to ask you some questions with your client hat on.
Yeah.
Okay. Philippa has been with me right from the beginning. We developed this idea, sat on the back of the sofa, and I rang Philippa and said, got this idea, what do you think? And she went, yeah, I'm up for it, I'm keen. And here we are 6 years later. So what made you decide to join Thrive?
I think I was in a place of, I'll say, desperation. And I wasn't in that tight cash position yet, but I could see things were just not working how I wanted to. I had no clue what I was doing, even though I had been running the business but I've been sole trader since 2009, and I had my first self-employed in 2011.
Okay.
So you do the maths there, and since then obviously not since Thrive, but until the point I joined Thrive, I literally just winged it, and nobody told me what to do, what to look out for. I did have some coaching with another coach before, which was good, but I didn't feel it was as in-depth as what I got with Thrive, because it's a much more comprehensive program. But I felt like after COVID, I stopped working with that coach, and it was just a mess. And I could just see it just going like this. And I thought, this is going to crash if I keep going.
Yeah. You were in this place of desperation. And was it because you said, but cash flow was that wasn't your biggest pain point at the time, but you could see it was. So what was behind that? If the cash was okay, you could see it going down. What was the desperation feeling?
I guess it was a desperation to just try and understand, of knowing, of growing.
Yeah.
Or just really get my head around things, because I just didn't. Because I just thought, how can I just really running the ship blind.
Yeah.
And I hit some little landmarks here and there, but I don't even know what they mean. And I don't know if it means I'm going in the right direction anyway. So there was no plan. It was just a bit of a mess.
And what impact was that having on your life?
I was very anxious. I wasn't sleeping well. There was lots of trouble at home because there was chaos at work, so there was chaos at home. And I was also a new dad because my girls were born on the COVID year in 2020. So it was just a mess. It was just really chaotic everywhere.
And I guess you then faced with chaos, but also a depleting cash position.
Right.
And you thinking, I just can't get out of this. You didn't know what to do to change it.
Yeah. And I remember having conversations with my husband, and he could see he was going in the wrong direction. And I could see it, but I think for a long time I was in denial, or I was just hiding the sun with the, how do you say that? I didn't want to see it. I just didn't want to see what was really going on. So I was hiding behind my video gaming, because you guys know that I had a gaming issue. Problematic. It was an addiction, but it was problematic. It wasn't full on, but I would just bury the head in the sand, basically. And my husband could see I was doing that. So he started calling me. I was like, what's going on here? Because this is non-sustainable, and what's going on in your business? And I got really defensive. So there was a lot of conflict because of that. So it was a really difficult time.
And so when you made the decision, what were you at the time hoping that that we would fix for you? Because that's what a lot of clients come into the program with, like, I need you to fix my marketing, I need you to fix my profit. They have specific things that they think. What were yours, Bruno?
Yeah, I was like, give me the checklist. Just give me the checklist. And this is, I think, what a lot of people expect. Give me the checklist and I'll just go tick, tick, tick. And I've literally just started doing the checklist. There was so much more work that I was missing, because I was just in this, I was in this sort of task mode, and let me just do things that I should have done, and let me do my spreadsheets properly, and let me look at this properly. But I was still in this mindset of things are not going to work, and it's all a bit shit. And so I just wanted that checklist.
Philippa, we see that quite a lot, don't we, with clients when they join the program? And like, you need the checklist, 100%. You need the strategy. You need the just do this, do that in this order, and let's hold you accountable to making that happen. But I guess my next question is, what surprised you most once you joined? And I'm going to link Philippa in here, because Philippa is often the surprise that people say.
Surprise!
Yeah. I think when I joined initially, there was this thing of the community, which I didn't have before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was great. I think the surprise didn't come until 8 months later, really.
When you were Philippines.
Yeah, basically. When I was too close to my breakthrough, and I was like, okay, let me quit. Let me just send an email. Thank you very much. I'm quitting now.
Let me run away. Run away.
Surprise that, looking back, I can see that was and it's the journey that a lot of people do. And I see this now as a coach. But I think one thing that I initially was pleasantly surprised was with the sense of community that I've had. And I was always very scared of being judged by others. And because my business, it felt like I'm so shit. How can anyone who looks is going to think, what have you been doing? But I realized a lot of people were in the same boat. And that put me at ease a lot. That helped me lower my defenses a lot as well, of feeling judged and scrutinized. So that was a nice initial surprise. But then there was that big surprise later on.
And I guess it comes back to, Philippa, we have clients that come onto the program, and we absolutely have to deliver what it is that they think they need. We need to do that, but we then have to weave Philippa in. And then Philippa becomes the person that allows people to have the biggest transformations and the biggest breakthroughs. And that's what happened with you, Bruno. And we had to be very bold with you, didn't we, at that 8-month mark? And in the nicest possible way, we had to call you out a little bit on it. And because one of our values in Thrive is to be bold, and we do it professionally and we do it in the right way, but we genuinely know that you're better off with us than you are without us. And so when we got that email that was like, I've got all my strategy stuff now,
Got lots to work on. I've got lots. That's what everybody says, right? Oh, I've got lots to work on, and I've got my plate full, so I'm gonna go now. I'll come back later.
Yeah. Philippa, why do you think we hear that so much?
Because we're on the cusp of great change, and our ego, our primitive brain, is like, nope, do not like this change. This could be a threat. Yeah, and it's happening unconsciously. Yeah, this idea of trying to keep ourselves safe. Yes, and I put safe in inverted commas, because we're moving into something we don't know. And the unknown, as far as our ego, our primitive brain, is a threat. Yes, but actually, the more evolved parts of us, that's what we actually want. So it can be very confusing. So we experience these mixed messages and this inner conflict. And conflict is something, and confrontation, that we talk about within Thrive all the time. That comes up when talking about teams and stuff like that. And people want to avoid that. So it's easier to go, actually, I'm done now. They've got enough. And then people just then fall back into their old ways. Yeah.
It reminds me, Philippa and Bruno, you know this, Philippa and I met how many years ago now? Philippa?
2014, 2015.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, because it was just as I was starting my clinic, wasn't it? So it was
Yes.
2014. Yeah. And we both met we were being coached by a coach, and we were both on that program. And Philippa and I stayed with the program for a long time. We were both extremely successful because we did the work, we showed up, we didn't make excuses, we faced really difficult challenges. But there was a group of us, Philippa, wasn't there, that were coached. And lots of what we then saw were people going, okay, I'm done now. I've got enough on. I'm just going to go and implement it. And it might have been that they were done with that coach, and that's good. You always reach a point where you need to then go to the next thing because you might be the biggest fish in coached. And so did I. And there was one other person in this group that went on to be coached, and she's running a very successful business as well. And the others that were in the group, it's not that they haven't continued in business. Some of them haven't, but some of the others, Philippa, they're just, and I say this with no judgment, they've just plateaued, haven't they? In fact, actually, a lot of them have gone back to doing teaching or more hands-on stuff or more of the day-to-day grind, because old habits just end up coming back.
Yeah, because they feel safe to a part of us.
Yeah.
Even though they upset another part of us, they still feel safe. And when I was being coached, when we were talking about that, when I was being coached in that scenario, because I still have, and we've laughed about this, more than one coach now, because why wouldn't you have a mindset coach, an energy coach, a business coach, all of that jazz? I don't know why you wouldn't. I would be really curious about when people were leaving. I don't understand, this is working.
Yeah.
So why are you leaving? I don't get it. Whereas I'm like, I'm not leaving because this is really working for me and my business is growing. So I'm gonna stay. So it just didn't compute until I now know what I know. Yes, about how the mind works.
Yeah, it's so important. So
Yeah.
what nearly stopped you joining? Like when you were in that place of desperation, you were gaming, you were hiding, you were making excuses. We had a phone call with you and went through what we thought we could help you with. Was there any kind of reservations that you might have had at that stage?
To be honest, no. Because I was so ready.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for the right thing, right? And then we talked about this, but I even joined another program, which was crazy expensive because I was so desperate. And then I think within a day or two, I was like, God, this is absolutely insane. Oh, no, I think actually I had an onboarding call with them, and this guy was in a pool somewhere with a tank top.
No.
And there was people going behind him, and I was like, what is this person? I just paid £4,000 to join. So I canceled that, and then I was like, I need to keep looking. So I was really ready to join your program, but I can see how some people will feel they will justify not joining because of costs, because they think, oh, it's too expensive or something like that. I think that always plays a part, and a lot of people use that excuse to leave as well. because they think, oh, I could have that money at the end of the month. But what they fail to realize is that's just an investment. That if you weren't paying for that money, you wouldn't in 2-3 years. Sometimes it's 1 year.
Yeah.
It takes, and sometimes it's really quick that you get that investment back, because all people, they really need is just sometimes a price uplift. And then in the 1-2 months, they do that, and then they already made the money back. So I can see how that can be a big thing. And this is one of the big topics within the program, isn't it? Just the money mindset and how it stops you from making the right decision sometimes, because you're so scared of losing money, or you're scared of making money sometimes.
That's interesting, Philippa, isn't it? Because I always think when people say no because of cost, always think, but you're going to make that back in month 1 to 2 if you just implement these key strategies. But there's still something that gets in the way, Philippa. What is that?
Again, it's patterns of behaviour, but it's also because the shift has turned for some of them from thinking about it as an investment to then thinking about it as a cost. So they start to think that something's being taken from them, and they forget to all the things that they're gaining from it. Now, obviously, we're aware of the fact that some people, their life changes horrendously, and that then means that it is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's also the idea that it's being curious about, when Bruno said, I could have that money, that is so controlling. And that's exactly how we talk about not thinking about money, how we have to let it flow, and how they then block it off. And for people who do that, they're not able to future pace what that money is actually then generating, what other money that money is generating, the investment in their coaching themselves, in their business, what it's allowing them to generate somewhere else. So they've shifted down their view so that it's very narrow at that point. And for them as well, that is again sometimes related to a fear factor, but not even about the money. It's about something else, but it's also socially acceptable to use money as an excuse for something, rather than going, actually, I'm really scared right now because this might actually work. And some of it's worked so far. So this means I could actually have the business that I've always wanted, but I don't know how I'm going to be in that. So it's easier unconsciously for me to go, actually, no, I just want that money. Yeah, I'm going to go away and do some stuff. I need that money, because that's a socially acceptable excuse or reason.
And I think it's really interesting, isn't it, how people treat money? Because I always think when you are showing the universe that you are willing to invest in yourself because you believe in yourself enough to take your business and life to the next level, the universe repays you with that. Because those clients that we've seen who've used money as an excuse or have finished program midway through, not because of very difficult personal challenges, that's totally understandable, but because of that, what Bruno said, that I'm on the cusp and I'm very uncomfortable. So I'm going to use like the fact I want to finish, or I want to use money as an excuse, often makes me think, if that's how you are treating money, that's what you're going to see in return. And you're going to show lots of clients who also don't respect money and your time and your effort. And we are asking clients to invest in us so that we can improve their health and well-being. Yet for many of us, we're so reluctant to actually invest in ourselves. And it's a behavior thing, isn't it?
And it's about modelling, isn't it? If we think about modelling, we want to model the behaviour that we want then to come back to us. And it's being really curious as well within all of this. And this is why reflection is so important as part of this journey, reflecting on what's working, what's not working, how am I showing up, how am I not showing up there? Because is my business reflecting my internal dynamic rather than actually the strategy that I've been implementing or not, as the case may be.
So it's fascinating, isn't it? Bruno, for those clients who are listening, who are like, this all sounds great, but are still wanting to know about return on investment and wanting to know the real changes, there is so many, we can't possibly list them all. But Bruno, what's given you, do you think, the biggest return?
The biggest return from being coached to thrive, I think, because there's so many things, right? But if I had to put it all together, it's just really becoming that future self that I wanted to become and I was scared of becoming.
Wow.
That's probably the best way I can summarize, and it might sound a bit woo for some people, but yeah, because you always envisage, right? And I'm all in for all that manifestation and stuff, and visualization, lots of meditation. I do all that, but yeah, to finally become, or to get really close to where I wanted to be, it's amazing, really. It's amazing because today I can confidently say, yeah, that's happening. That is happening. All the stuff that I was thinking even last year or the year before, it's all happened and more has happened.
Yeah.
So it's really, everything's changed. Things at home have completely changed. My business completely changed, and it's just growing still more. And there's room to, it's just insane what's happening at the moment right now with me. I'm really pleased to say it's really all great, all a little bit scary still, but I'm doing it anyway.
We know we're on the right track. Yes.
You're on the right track. I love this. Okay. So let's take our client hat off and put our coach's hat on. And we've talked about these patterns already, in that we see money being used as an excuse. Are there any other patterns, Philippa, Bruno, that we see as coaches quite often when we are coaching? And we say this without any judgment, but we say this to hopefully allow it to go from the subconscious brain to the conscious brain, in that, I act a bit like that sometimes, or I use those excuses, but sometimes we're not aware, are we? So this is why I wanted to bring this up. What patterns do you guys see when you're coaching?
One of the things that won't work for my business. My business is different. Yeah, that sort of thing. And we're not about, it's a cookie cutter approach, if we go with that term, but it's understanding that you can still have business on your terms. Yes, and understanding that won't work for my business. Cutting it off like that is really interesting to me, of how people will put that in, because all I'm hearing then is a part of you wants to notice, is me to notice that you're different, and that's okay, and that you're valid, and acknowledge that part of you. It's within that sort of element as well.
But I think where I was going next was like, what makes the difference between clients that succeed and clients that struggle? And I think what you've just said there, Philippa, is interesting, because I did a podcast about this actually just a few weeks ago, and it was being curious to, yes, you might feel like your business is different. It's being open to, how could I make this work for my business? How could having that open mindset, rather than that very closed or sometimes slightly abrupt and aggressive tone with, no, that's not going to work for me. Do you feel like successful clinic owners are more open-minded and are more curious in their approach? Would you agree?
Yeah, and so they're open to the opportunity of going, I don't think that won't work for my business. I don't think that'll work for my business. Explain to me how that's going to work for my business. I want to know more. Yes, so that curiosity makes a massive difference to the success. Or, okay, that's interesting. You said that has, because obviously we've worked with a lot of different business owners, hundreds, and we're able to get, okay, so you're able to tell me that somebody's done that. I'm going to give it a go and I'll see what happens. Even though a part of me isn't quite on board yet, they're willing to give it a go. I think that's really important as well within that.
Yeah.
And it's also sometimes, you just have to tweak the idea business does. Because I remember in one of our strategy days that you were talking about a strategy you can do it, that you were doing for your clinic, which is very big. You got lots of classes and everything. We don't do any classes yet, and we're a lot smaller, but I still managed to find a way to implement something very similar, which gave me lots of return. So it's just having the flexibility and think, okay, that's the plan, or that's the strategy for that type of clinic based on their services. These are my services. They are a little bit different, but I can still do something along those lines. So it's just having being
But that
like
comes, doesn't it, Bruno, from having an open growth-based mindset? Yeah. From having that ability to access the executive thinking and the executive functioning parts of your brain. It's also then obviously being curious as well. When a person says within Thrive now that when they do shut it down and say, or out there, people are listening to the podcast or been to a masterclass, whatever it might be, and go, that won't work for me. Part of me is now really curious about where are your stress levels at? Yeah, where are your stress levels at? Because I'm curious that maybe your brain isn't allowing you to be able to see that. So it's actually, okay, so go and do something to lower your stress levels and think about it again and see what happens. Because I wonder if some of those people as well at that point, just their stress levels are so high that if they're not going to be able to see that opportunity.
And we see that a lot, don't we? We want to teach you the strategy. We have the strategy, we have the principles, we have the done it for you stuff, the templates, the things that you can access. It's all there for the taking. But often we have to focus on the person first because, as you said, Philippa, they can't access the executive functioning part of their brain because that shuts down when they're in high stress or they're overwhelmed, sleep deprived, they're short on money. All of that adds to it. So it isn't a cookie cutter approach. We have to take you as a person and then mold the approach around that, don't we?
Yeah. And when we first, I'm off on one now. When we first talk to people, when they first join, and one of the questions quite often that comes up is, what keeps your vibe high? What keeps you in that mindset for success? Yeah. What helps you to vibrate at that high level? Loads of people will say things like exercise, getting out with the dog, family days, and we'll be like, when was the last time you did one of them? And it's all that stuff that helps them to de-stress, they put at the bottom of the list. And so their stress levels just go up and up and up.
Yeah, and that's a real pattern. And I guess my next question was, what something that clinic owners think they need, but they actually don't? And it is, for me, it's often they think they need more and more information. And there is a level of our brain that needs the information because that helps us with processing and understanding and learning. And Bruno, you wanted to learn how to be a better business owner. You wanted to learn some shit, but we also have to really work on you first, which is not often what people think they need at the beginning. They just come in for hardcore strategy and action and the doing.
Yeah. Give me the checklist.
Yeah.
Give me, how do I get more clients?
Yeah.
That's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
And sometimes you see, and fair enough, if you have someone who started maybe 6 months ago, sure, they're still building a client list. But a lot of the time people join, and we've got some now in foundations, have been going for 10 years or more. Yeah. And they're like, I want more clients. It's like, you've already got the clients. You just got to leverage them. Are you sending newsletters? No. Are you sending recalls? No. So do that. Let's do that then. So it's often this thing more and more and more, but they've already got a lot of it there, just sitting, waiting for it to happen.
But they haven't got any headspace to analyze that and figure it out. So they need us to help them with that. And then they also, when they see that's a gap that they need to plug or a hole they need to plug, they just can't even think where to start. And that's where they need strategy. They need checklists. But we also then have Philippa loop in because a lot of stuff gets in the way and holds people back and stops them from implementing the ideas. So it's really important that all of those different elements work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just making it bite-sized, because what you hear a lot of on the chats, on the WhatsApp or whatever, people say, I'm overwhelmed. I just don't know how to start. And I had someone on the Q&A yesterday, last week, and she said, I just don't even know how to start. So it's just breaking it down, helping them break down so that they identify what's the one thing they could do that will move the dial.
And then coming back the next week with, okay, now I need the second thing. And now I need the third thing. And now, because that's sometimes all we need to just get ourselves into action and out of. But to do that by yourself, impossible.
Yeah. And often, and I'm going to go off. Oh, you're going to go, Philippa.
You go, Bruno, you go.
I was just going to say as well, and a lot of people then, when they are overwhelmed or they don't know how to do, sometimes they'll do a lot of the small stuff. So they feel like, oh, I've done all this. But nothing moves the needle. Nothing turns the dial. But at least they feel they soothe that part of their ego that needs them to feel like, yeah, I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. But it's not really the important stuff that matter.
Yeah. They don't actually end up with any more money to take home. They just have less time, less energy, less freedom, less boundaries, less cash, all of that. Yeah. Philippa, what were you going to say?
I was going to talk about the dopamine hit. Yes, and how we get addicted to that dopamine hit of ticking off those little tasks. Yes, and it gives us that short-term relief. Yes, but then it gives us long-term discomfort, and it's breaking that cycle of the short-term relief and all of that sort of stuff. We need to get comfortable with the short-term uncomfortable of having to break down a bigger task into small tasks or only doing one thing. And the business owners that come and join and work with us are capable of doing stuff. They are getting stuff done, but they're not necessarily doing the right stuff, at that point. And it's that shift, which again can be uncomfortable because we're asking to change a behavior pattern and to sit with the uncomfortable for a bit and let go of the dopamine hit.
Yeah. So what makes then someone really coachable? So I sometimes hear people don't know if they could be coachable. Bruno, we've got people who've joined foundations who've been in business 10 years, 15 years plus, and they might be feeling like, should I start now? Because is it too late? What would we say when we look at all of our fabulous clinic owners that we get to support? What makes them really coachable?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I think people, they really need to, I think just because they join the program shows that there's a part of them that has this growth mindset.
Yeah.
But what will stop a lot of people is just their fears of being more than what they are. Like Philippa said, staying safe, because staying in the known, even if it's shit, is better than the unknown that I have no idea what's out there. So I think a lot of people, what makes them coachable a lot of the time is if they're brave enough, courageous, to stop and look in the mirror and just thinking, God, I'm really tired of myself. I'm really tired of this same old, because nothing changes until something changes. So it's a really tricky one, because you don't find out people are not coachable until maybe 6 months later or a year later. And we've had this before, right? People stayed in the program for a whole year and they literally implement nothing. Even though they participate on all the calls, they attend all the pods, they come to the strategy days, they just don't do anything. And then they leave a year later without having implementing anything and thinking that everybody was against them, because they're so unwilling. It's so hard for them. And again, saying without judgment, but it's so hard for them to just break through that fear.
Yeah. I guess it's, on the surface, it's, if somebody said to me, are you coachable? I would say, yeah, I'm really coachable, because I have an open mindset. I'm growth oriented. I'm really willing to be uncomfortable. I need somebody to stretch me. I can get bored too quickly. I need direction. I need focus. All those things are like, I'm able to say, but actually in the moment, it's that ability, as you just said, to really just go, fuck it, I'm going to just do it. And I'm going to put the trust in these people rather than be almost from a place of an expectation that it's going to go wrong. We see that quite often, don't we? That sometimes a part of us expects that they're not trustworthy, that actually these people seem to really care. So there must be something else underneath this that they're not showing, or they must be in it for the wrong reasons. Or it's like we're looking, Philippa, you've seen this quite a lot, haven't you? Still it in a better way than I'm doing. What's going on there? People like they're looking to trip us up, or they're looking to.
But that comes from their perception of what people, yes, and this can come from their experience of teachers, their experience of leaders in other places, and them perceiving that we will be like that. But we have noticed some people will take quite a while to come and join us, yes, but that's because the trust is building. Some people trust straight away and they're like, yep, I know you've got my back. Great. And they know, I think it's that knowing that we're on it together. That they're not on their own. You talked, Bruno, about the community feel. Yes, I think it's that community of not being on your own, the trust of these people aren't against me. They are actually with me. And I think for me, what makes somebody coachable is because I am coachable. I love it. It's that idea of tell me what to do and I will just do it.
Yeah.
Because I do just do it. That's just how I am. I don't think about anything else because I believe that you have my best interests at heart. Yeah. And so therefore I will just do whatever one's coach says. Yes. For me, that's that trust. And we've talked about the dog thing before, but I am very much like dog sitting there going, tell me what to do and I'll do it. But I will do the next thing. Because also there's that element of that why would you put it out there in the first place if you didn't know what you were doing? Yeah, for me. So it comes down to trust. It comes down to having that ability to do whatever it takes. Yeah, I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. When you were talking, Bruno, I heard that energy behind that of everything is so out of control. Chaos was the word you used. But I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to make a difference here because everything else isn't working. And that idea of the open mind, the growth mindset, and it comes down to the colours, doesn't it? But how long have we got before I get overexcited about the colours? Yellows, incredibly competitive. Yeah, you lot look good, right? Yeah, you're saying some good stuff. I'm off. Boom. Yeah, reds. Oh, some evidence. Lovely. You've given me some testimonials, right? I know that those are people. I might have even gone and looked maybe on to see if those people are real people. Yes, great, excellent. Greens will have done far more research on us to learn to be able to trust us as well. Blues have to have a feeling that we're human. I'm blue, yes, and that they can trust us in that respect. And then that's it. But it's having that open mind is so important within this. And knowing that you have to do something. It can't just be all the coach doing stuff. You have got to be part of it. You can't just sit there and by osmosis it's going to happen. If you hold a diet book back in the 80s to your head, that's not how you're going to lose weight. You actually have to do the diet. But we're not going into the mindset of diets, all right, and whatever. But it may or may not have been a joke that me and my friends used to have. If I just hold it here, maybe it'll just flow through me. You have to be part of it. You are actively involved and be prepared to be actively involved.
Yeah. Philippa, you've been a absolute vital part of Thrive from day one. It was you and me in the early days together doing it all. 6 years now. Bruno, you've been a huge part of Thrive and will continue to be a huge part of Thrive, I hope, for many years. What hasn't changed since day one in Thrive for both of you? What is still there? Because we're an evolving business, we're a growing business. We have new team, we have new systems and processes, and we've got bigger strategy days, and we're helping more people. And there's a lot going on. But what hasn't changed for you both?
The passion to help business owners create a bigger impact. Because there are so many beautiful business owners out there who are beautiful in all aspects. Sounds very woo. Who are struggling and who can actually make an even bigger difference if they just make some relatively small, sometimes, tweaks to their business and actually start to actually realise that they have the ability to, without sounding corny, thrive rather than just survive and struggle. Of being part of that the passion of being part of the ripple effect is massive for me. And I think that's been within all of this too. And I think when you were sitting on that sofa, that was one of the things we talked about. as well on the back of the sofa, and you said, I've got this idea. All these people out there, they're really struggling. So I'm thinking we might do this. Yeah. Because actually we can help people to not struggle. And life shouldn't be a struggle.
Absolutely. It doesn't need to be.
No.
Bruno, what about you? What hasn't changed in Thrive for you?
So as a client, I think my fear is still there, but I deal with my fear in a very different way these days. So my fear, I embrace it a lot more these days, and I use it as, how do you say that? A signaling system. I use my fear as a way to know if I'm in the right path or not.
Yeah.
And so that hasn't changed for me. And but I engage with it in a very different way. And I think as a coach, what I felt as a client, that Thrive is bold and likes to challenge people. It will challenge your thinking, will challenge your mindset, it will challenge how you're doing things. I think me as a coach, I see myself doing that with people now. So I like to think that I'm still doing that work that was done with me, that I'm seeing them with others. Now I'm doing with people from Foundations and sometimes from Elevate on the Q&As. So, because that's another thing as well that will stop people from growing, is if we don't challenge people, don't challenge their assumptions, and don't make them question, why do you think that is? And why do you think that is? And keep digging and keep peeling the layers of the onion until because all you can do is just hold the light, and they have to really do the work. And sometimes Philippa will just say it, because sometimes people are so resistant to saying themselves, just tell me what it is. And they just says, okay, thank you. But yeah, so that's challenging.
Yeah. And however Thrive grows and moves and continues to grow, I feel those key elements, feel the passion about why we originally started this, Bruno, the ability for us as coaches, and as the wider team grows, our coaches, we are working to a standard that means that we are challenging clients in a professional and very kind way. We are bold with our coaching. We are not becoming a company that is losing all of the things that has got us to where we are now. I think that's really important. People to know as well.
Absolutely. It is really behind everything that we do, every conversation that we have.
Yeah.
It is still there. The reasons why we started are still the reasons that are keeping us continuing.
5 seconds before they switch this podcast off. What's the one final thing that you want them to hear you say?
I think if they want to challenge themselves, but also work with a company that has a huge level of transparency and integrity, I think they'll struggle to find anyone better out there to really guide them. Because I've obviously experienced it, and then I see now what's happening to other members. So if you want that integrity, absolute transparency, be challenged, embrace your fears, let's go.
That's it. Just do it, basically. Yeah. And for me, my little bit would be, if you're listening to this podcast, this is the sign that you've been looking for. Come on.
I want to do a drop the mic.
Yeah, I did a little eyebrow raise then. Yeah, for those who can't.
Yeah, right. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Then everybody watching on YouTube, they'll have seen it.
Yeah, they'll love it.
Philippa, Bruno, thank you so much. This has been a really wonderful episode. I think it's given great value, and I hope people take inspired action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Treat Your Business podcast. Hit subscribe now and keep joining me for bigger insights, bolder conversations to help you build a clinic and a life you love.